What is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Scott from FudgeMuppet, and today we just had to talk about The Outer Worlds, the brand new upcoming RPG from Obsidian. The trailer that released at the end of last year got us very hyped, especially since it followed after the disappointment of Fallout 76. We are incredibly excited for the promise of a choice-focused RPG by Obsidian, the game studio behind two of my all-time favorite games, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2 and Fallout New Vegas, as well as the fact that two of the original creators of the Fallout franchise, Tim Kaine and Leonard Boyarsky, are in charge of the project. In addition, this game is in the modern first-person RPG style that everyone's very familiar with, rather than the isometric style of RPG that Obsidian has been known for creating recently. So recently there has been a whole bunch of news and tidbits of information that has dropped from Game Informer articles and interviews with the developers and so on, so that's what I wanted to talk about today. Not so much the details itself, but the big takeaways with a particular focus on how this game pertains to us and the channel. You obviously know we are a big fan of RPGs, especially ones with lots of choice and role-playing potential that allows you to play out a character that you want to. Hence why the worlds of Fallout and Elder Scrolls appeal to us massively. We have made hundreds of builds across Skyrim, Fallout New Vegas, and Fallout 4, and we have made hundreds of lore videos that dive into the depths, nooks, and crannies of these wonderful universes. And with Fallout 76 not exactly being our cup of tea and Elder Scrolls 6 way off in the distance, we have been left wanting. My wife is pregnant right now with our daughter, and it's just crazy for me to think that I will have a kid, maybe even multiple kids by the time of Elder Scrolls 6, depending on how long it takes. My daughter could be starting school. It's nuts, but I digress. The point is there is a large gap between now and Elder Scrolls 6 with no Fallout 5 in sight either, but then in comes The Outer Worlds to fill the void, and also with Cyberpunk 2077 to follow, which also promises similar emphasis on choice and role-playing. We could not be more excited. It's a great time for RPGs. Some people have made note of and shared concern about the lack of open world in The Outer Worlds, as this game is more of a hub-based adventure, more akin to games like Knights of the Old Republic, where you sort of have like a base spaceship and you travel between different areas, and then there's small open world sections, but it isn't open world in the sense of Skyrim or Fallout 4. But this is not a bad thing. One of the fantastic parts of this design choice is focus and quality over quantity. The game time has been mentioned to be around the 30-ish hours mark, which in the age of game companies boasting hundreds of hours of content can seem small, but most of these games with hundreds of hours of content are just filled with mundane activities and repeatable missions versus a shorter but better main quest with well-crafted side quests, stories, and characters with no fluff. If you look at Dragon Age Origins, for example, versus Dragon Age Inquisition, Dragon Age Origins has a much tighter focus, and the side quests are all pretty good, along with the characters and story, versus Dragon Age Inquisition, which is good, but it has been injected with a lot of superfluous side quests and activities that are all quite samey and boring. It's a whole lot of bloat that could be cut down significantly. Regardless, the point I'm trying to make is that a more focused and detailed, smaller project can yield a much better experience than one injected with lots of mundane extras just to claim more hours of gameplay. The best part of this style of game is replayability. Obviously, the larger the scope, the longer the story, and the more variables of choice that are included, the more difficult it is to create branching narratives and endings because of the numerous choices involved. That is why quite often RPGs present the illusion of choice, but it doesn't actually really matter, because by the end you just pick a different color ending. Yes, I am talking about Mass Effect 3, but in a way you can see why this happens, because it is hundreds of times harder factoring in innumerable endings depending on the hundreds of choices you've made across 3 games. A much shorter and focused game can have the attention drawn to choices and consequences rather than being overwhelmed by the expansiveness of the story and having to compromise on quality or attention to detail. It is a nice change of pace in the bigger is better gaming environment we have today, and I usually feel better playing 30 amazing hours of gameplay rather than 10 amazing hours of gameplay plus 100 okay hours. I mean, in an ideal world, hundreds of amazing hours is the best, but that's not always a realistic goal. Anyways, Tim Kaine and Leonard Boyarsky, the developer leads at Obsidian, have emphasized time and time again the tight scope of the project that was decided upon because of their desire to nail role-playing, the player choice and consequence. They want Outer Worlds to be played how you want to play it, which is a goal that we really appreciate. And if you're anything like us, you would enjoy replaying RPGs, making the different choices. What if I did this? What if I'm this kind of character? What if I did that? Etc. Hence all the hundreds of role-playing builds that we enjoy making and have made. But speaking of builds, this game has the potential to be really good for it, and that's why we are excited about it. Builds, replayability, choice, the works. It just seems awesome. So lore, builds, guides, all that kind of stuff is definitely in our content plan for this game, so do subscribe if you are keen for the upcoming Outer Worlds content. We do have a lot of confidence in this game, but be aware, I will be the first to admit, we are well aboard the hype train, and I usually find myself as the optimistic type, so we could all be disappointed, but oh well, that happens sometimes. In the meantime, I'm incredibly excited, and there's lots of information you should keep your eyes peeled for. So how excited are you guys? Cautious, optimistic, a sad Sally pessimist? Let us know your thoughts on the Outer Worlds and let us know where you're at. Like the video if you enjoyed. We have been uploading more frequently and we are getting back into the swing of things, hopefully with videos every day. I was thinking maybe that this time every week we upload a video kind of like this, not necessarily about the Outer Worlds, but our thoughts on upcoming RPGs and Elder Scrolls news like ESO Elsewhere, you know, just some sort of more thoughts-based stuff, maybe even Q&As like back in the day. I don't know, just spitballing. It doesn't necessarily have to be a routine, but do know that we plan on getting more content out, working harder, and we do have builds on the way. Also, just wanted to thank you guys for all the support. It really does warm our hearts that you enjoy the stuff we put out. We really appreciate it. Social media links are in the description where you can catch me, Drew, or Michael on Twitter. My name is Scott from FudgeMuppet, and I will be back to nerd out with you again next time.